The following day, which was a Wednesday, I started getting these excessive phone calls and text messages from Asmodeus. He was calling my Android, texting my Android, and he was calling my iPhone and texting my iPhone. And I was at work. I was actually at the hospital with my patient, and he's blowing up my phone. And I'm like, that man has never called me that many times. But what I also did do was that morning, I posted to Facebook that I was pregnant. So I was just like, you might as well just get it over with. So I posted that I was pregnant. And I put it in my story. I didn't even actually put it on my Facebook page. It was scheduled to, delete in 24 hours. I wanted to come up with something a little bit more elaborate and cute when I posted it officially to Facebook. So I put it in my story. About 2 hours after that is when he started blowing up my phone. He was just blowing it up. And I text him, is there an emergency? I'm at an appointment with my patient. And he was like, call me when you get the chance. I called him a few hours later. I was still at work. And I was like, wait, what's up? And he was like, oh, yeah, well, I got it figured out now. And I was like, you got what figured out now? And he was like, don't worry about it. I'll talk to you about it later. So I was like, oh, okay. This man still has me blocked. I need to make mention of this. When Asmodeus and I began our relationship in 2023, fall of 2023, I saw him one night when he was at my house on Facebook. And he went on to say that he's not really into Facebook like that, which is totally fine because with all the other platforms that have come out for social interaction, it's not weird when someone says that they don't really use Facebook. So it wasn't weird to me. But he did tell me that he did have a Facebook account. So I never searched him or tried to befriend him on Facebook because he said he was barely active on there. And at the time, I wasn't really active on there either. I did know he had an Instagram account, but I also wasn't really using Instagram at the time. I had been inactive for maybe a year and a half. But he was following me on TikTok and I was following him as well. So there was at least one platform where we were friends on social media. So around probably the end of February, he had went on one of his temper tantrums and he was just like, you barely post me in any of your videos on TikTok. And I was like, one, that's not true. But I'm very discreet about it. Because Asmodeus had said to me in the past, that he really didn't want to be in any photos or videos that I was filming. And I respected that because just because I create content doesn't mean that everyone else around me is going to always be comfortable with being included in that content. That used to be a super big red flag, but not so much anymore, just for the general public because not everybody does what I do. That's understandable. I have sisters who don't want to be seen in a video with me. In the end of February, when he told me that I barely put him on social media, honestly at this point, I don't really know what exactly the purpose of that was. Because one, it wasn't true, but two, he told me he didn't want to be in any videos or photos. But if I captured him in there by accident, I usually did the best in my ability to crop him out. How do you complain about not being showcased on social media when you also have said that you don't want to be in photos or videos? When he said that, I combated that with, you don't have me on any of your social media. And he said to me, I never really put anyone that I'm in a relationship with on social media because I don't know how long it's gonna last, and what if I have to delete their photo? Then I have to explain myself to the internet. In January, after I got the iPhone, I went in to test the waters. So I said to him one evening, take a picture with me so I can use it as your icon for when you call me. So he reluctantly took the photo with me. A few days later, I sent him the photo and he was like, I don't like that picture of me. Use another one. And I was like, no, you wouldn't be in the another photo because you're not here to take a new photo. And that was me basically believing, I believed at that time, he wanted me to use one of the photos of himself that he had sent me that are coincidentally also posted to social media. Not a photo that he just took and it never made the internet. He wasn't sending me an alternative photo that no one had ever seen before. He needed me to use one of his photos he put on social media, because then it would actually probably kind of look like I just went to your account and downloaded a photo of you and applied it to your contact. Not something that you personally actually took with me or sent to me. And that made me raise my eyebrow. But why? I told him, I'm not deleting this photo, I'm gonna keep this photo. And the good news is you don't have to look at it because it's in my phone, not your phone. When Asmodeus said that basically he had some type of probation period before he would post his girlfriend to social media, aka me, because he didn't know whether or not it was going to work out, it made so little sense to me. In February, this man had gone from being intimate with me with full intentions that we discussed of sprinkling his seeds in my garden back in October. So obviously we were having unprotected sex, number one. You had temporary legal custody of my children for about 2 months. Number two, you sat at my dinner table with my children and myself for dinner many nights, holding my youngest son's hand, Joshua, and holding my hand, and Jaden was obviously holding my hand and Joshua's hand. And you prayed over our food. What about this does not look like it's serious? Thank God for me saving my text thread. All and any photos that I have incorporated in this series have been sent directly from his phone to my phone. I am not a fucking nutcase. I would never go on someone's social media, get a photo of them, download it to my phone, and save it under their number. That shit's weird. For what? That shit's just weird. This information will make sense later on in the series. Just remember it. So when it comes to my Facebook account and me posting my pregnancy on my story, I became under the impression that Asmodeus probably blocked me on Facebook before I could even request him as a friend. And I'm sure he was probably hiding underneath a ghost account watching all of my content, because he would need to watch what I was saying since I was pregnant. But I think prior to the pregnancy, he was watching me from undercover accounts, because you'll see. But I'm very much convinced that that man blocked me from his actual account because I could never find it, and that he had a ghost account that he was watching me from on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I had to call him from a private number just to actually get him to pick up, to talk about why he was blowing up my phone in the first place. Following that, at the end of my shift, my relief came in. My coworker was like, so when are you due? And I looked at her like, who told you I'm pregnant? Because I had not told my job, I hadn't told my boss, I hadn't told anybody yet. And then she was like, well, you have skinny arms and skinny legs and you're only gaining weight in one section. And I was just like, I'm literally a hiccup pregnant. How in the name of God could you notice? What? I'm wearing big oversized scrubs. They're not completely oversized, but you couldn't see. I didn't think you could see anything. I personally didn't think you could see a thing. I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I was like, I'm due in November. And when she said that, it made me then go into the bathroom and look at myself. Please, 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 please do not drag me for this, because when I show you the photo of how I looked that day, you're gonna be like, ain't no way in the world you thought you were hiding that. I go in the bathroom and look in the mirror and I'm just like, well, where did this lump come from? And this just wasn't any old little lump. This was huge and I was bloated. So the difference between being just regular bloated from dietary reasons versus pregnant is your uterus lifts up, it rises up and your baby is underneath that. So your uterus is up higher, and then the baby is down here. Then you got to remember the placenta and the amniotic sac. So it's pretty filled in there. And then, you know, all your regular organs, the rest of that stuff is just, you know, wherever the heck it is the baby puts them. So I looked in the mirror and I was flabbergasted because I swore I was not showing. But since this is my third pregnancy, my body knew exactly what to do as soon as this baby was conceived. It was like, it's time to get fat. I knew a lot of it was just bloating. Ultimately, that bloating never went away. If it did start to decrease, my baby was getting bigger and bigger. So I looked pregnant for quite a long time, but I really did not think that anybody would notice it. I didn't think anyone was going to see. I thought I was hiding it pretty well. Once I saw how ambiguously big and pregnant I was like, all right, so I don't really care to have any more fake conversations with Asmodeus because he's only calling me for one single reason. And I don't really want to shoot the breeze with you while I'm sitting here preparing for my future and this baby and my children and the rest of my life. You're over there just thinking to yourself, like, if I just push her in front of a train, would they think it was me because I got her pregnant? There's just no point. Like, we know it's over. I know it's over. Let me just make it as clear as possible about what my intentions are and what I want to do. So when I got off of work, I shot him a text message and I was just like, look, I'm not going to waddle myself visibly pregnant into the chop shop. I'm not. Now, to each its own, but I think it's very cringy, at least it would be for me, very cringy, very weird, to go into the chop shop and you are like pregnant. And because I was so small, pre-pregnant, I was already showing and you could tell that I was actively pregnant, just based on the way that my stomach was sitting. And I was like, I'm sorry, like, it is what it is. So do whatever it is you need to do, whatever affairs you need to get in order, but I'm keeping my baby. He went off again. And I was just like, you were just in my bed last night getting laid. No protection whatsoever. Finished twice. Didn't pull out. Now, while all of that math does not obviously equate or equal to I'm ready to be a dad again, got that? It just confirmed, oh, so you thought you were going to come over here and give me some of your Vienna sausage and that was supposed to make me sit here and go, I'll do anything for him. Where do you find those type of airheads at? Because I'm not one of them. Do I do dumb things? Yes. Am I prone to make mistakes? Obviously. But am I that dumb? Fuck no. But it's cute that you thought that your mediocre sex was supposed to sit here and have me swooned all the way into a chop shop. I knew it, I felt it, I was aware of it, and then his reaction to me saying, like, let's just nip this in the bud. I'm keeping the baby. It is what it is. Do what you need to do. I'll call you in November when the baby's born. I'll see you in court December for paternity and child support. Now, speaking of paternity, after he went on his psychotic hiatus, he was blowing up with text messages, telling me all types of nonsense. He even went on to sit here and say to me, he mentioned my boys. He was just like, your children have autism. You should be more concerned about that than bringing another baby into the world. And you know what? From a political standpoint, that makes a little bit of sense. I'm not going to knock it. It does make a little bit of sense. But autism's not fucking hereditary, number one. Number two, the one thing that has always made me continue to be such an advocate for my children when it comes to autism, such an advocate and the voice for my children through this entire experience as being a single mother of children with autism. The one thing that always has kept me strong is having the knowledge that there are so many fucked up, badass little kids running the fuck around, turning into teenagers and then turning into fucking adults, and they fucking suck, and they don't have autism. So how do you explain that? It's never fazed me. My boys having autism does not mean they're going to be couch potatoes getting SSI after the age of 18. My children are very creative and talented. And I know that's something that every parent wants to be able to say, but my children are very, very talented and creative. They are gifted children. My kids aspire to be better than a lot of other kids, and that is no shade to anyone else's child. But because the odds are already against us, because I'm a single mom, because I'm African American, because I have boys, you don't think I'm gonna sit up here and not break my back to give them everything that they deserve and give them the future that they deserve to have? I got this, honey. Worry less. Don't worry about me and my children. I've done it all this time. I will do it again.